So our speaker, Brian Vogel, is a coach, an HR executive, and the co-founder of Sundog Coaching and Sensible HR. He's going to be talking about the name of the title of his presentation is Power of Three Framework. Craft a narrative that positions you for what's next. Does any of us know what's next? Brian is a leadership coach and an HR executive who has spent over 25 years helping people grow, helping teams thrive, and helping businesses win. From startups finding their footing to global companies scaling fast, Brian has seen it all and coached leaders through it all. His secret: no fluff, no jargon, just honest conversations, practical strategies, and the right mix of support and challenge. His approach is rooted in real-world experience. He's been a senior HR leader at places like Verizon, USAA, Indeed, and LogicMonitor, where he guided executives, built strong teams, and led through change. Earlier in life, he was also an NCAA Division I swimmer and coach, which shaped how he brings clarity, discipline, and teamwork into every coaching conversation. Today, through Sundog Coaching and Sensible HR, he works with founders, executives, and managers to help them level up, lead with confidence, and tackle whatever is standing in their way. Expect honesty, practical advice, and a commitment to helping you become the leader you are meant to be. Let's give a very warm welcome to Brian Vogel. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. Brian also said that if you have questions, feel free to either put them in the chat or raise your hand, unmute, ask your questions. He'll also entertain questions at the end if you'd like. Either way. Thank you. Brian, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me, Kathy. Thank you for the kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and let me get this presentation pulled up for everybody, and so we can jump in here. And I just want to reiterate what Kathy just said. I prefer not to be a talk box, so feel free to interrupt me at any point in time. I will not take it personally, but I am going to walk you through today something that I find to be very powerful as you try to figure out what's next in your career journey. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, I've been where y'all are at. I don't know if I call it a pleasure, but I've had I've gone through these journeys myself. I have been through what I would, if I count, depending on how you count, at least 6 transitions through my career due to reorganizations, layoffs, you name it, I've been through it. So I know what it's like because I've been there. So, but let me real quick just change something. Okay, I think I can see good. All right, so Power Three framework. I'm not going to talk much more about myself. Kathy did a good job introducing me, as well as I'm sure if you did your due diligence, which I would expect you've all stalked me on LinkedIn, and we can talk about that later as well. So the Power of Three framework. So these are what my clients who are job seekers are usually struggling with: unclear career direction, low confidence in transition, difficulty in articulating their value, and then a lack of boundaries, meaning they sort of float on what they want to do next. And then there's their professional presence, because oftentimes, being in this type of change and in this transition, let's be honest, it's a knock in the confidence. And so people need to boost themselves back up so they present themselves in the best form and posturing. Just curious, either raise the hands on Zoom or just speak up. Does this resonate with y'all? Do you find this is okay, Kathy? Thank you. So the power of structured narratives is what we're really going to talk about today. And every job seeker has a unique story. Many of you probably lost your job not because you wanted to lose your job, because it wasn't within your control, but still you as a job seeker have a unique story. Most job seekers I work with, they don't know how to tell it. So the common mistakes they make is they overemphasize the past. And the past is the past. It's in the rearview mirror. Folks, I can tell you are more interested in what you want to do when you're looking out of the front of the windshield. And they're unclear about core value, their own core values and their own aspirations. And then these job seekers struggle to articulate their unique value. In other words, what they're going to bring to the table. If you've never done a personal core values exercise, you can find this just by going out to YouTube or Googling personal core value exercises. There's several that can take you through. But if you don't understand or don't know what your core values are, I would suggest that be a step as you also prepare your structured narrative. Any questions so far? All right. So the power of three framework is really the power of storytelling in career growth. These clear narratives will build credibility for yourself. And what makes that strong leadership narrative is clarity, impact, and alignment with your future direction. And the common mistakes to avoid is overloading the narrative with details and failing to highlight impact. So, some of you may be scratching your head and asking, is this my elevator pitch? I wouldn't describe it necessarily as a pitch. It is a succinct story about your career and where you want to go. So what is it exactly? It's a simple, powerful tool to connect the past, present, and future leadership that feels clear and compelling and intentional. And that's where the rubber meets the roll. Is it clear? Is it compelling and intentional? And I would probably also add to this list as I read it out loud and look at it, and is it authentic? Certainly, I would suggest you can have AI help you with this, but I would make it your own. I would only use that as a starting point. And what is it used for? To confidently show up in interviews, for networking intros. So just today, what Kathy did with the new members of Launchpad, you could use it for that. You can use it on LinkedIn and resumes, and then you can use it for, if you're on a panel bios or speaker gigs. So that's what the Power of Three framework is. So here is the framework. Past, present, and future. Past is one pivotal moment that shaped your leadership. And when I say leadership, it doesn't mean you necessarily had to lead a team. Leadership is a mindset. So everyone, from my viewpoint, is a leader. So what has shaped you as an individual in your career? And what is that one pivotal moment? And then move forward to the present. What's the strength or value you bring today? And then future is, what is the impact you're going to create next? So an example of the past, turning around an underperforming team during a company restructure. Example present, clarity and chaos. I help leaders navigate uncertainty with confidence. And then future, I want to build teams that drive inclusive innovation at scale. So that's the framework. If that's the framework, here's an example with a fill in the blank. At pivotal moments in my career, insert the past defining moment. I learned that what's the lesson learned? And today I create impact by whatever your current leadership strength is. And in the future, I aim to, from an aspiration standpoint. So you might ask, well, should I insert the next job title I want? No, don't insert the next job title. It's too limiting. What do you want to do in your career next? What's your future leadership aspiration? Any questions there? Anybody want to interrupt me? Is this tracking with everybody?
I have a question. Could you do the previous screen and let me take a picture?
Sure, and I'm happy, absolutely, right here.
Also, thank you.
Yeah.
We had a speaker some months ago who was talking about her, the way that she crafts a response to tell me about yourself. And she said she did a past, present, and future sort of thing where
Oh,
I
same
have
deal.
X number of years experience in the past, but I like the way that you've set yours up as a narrative, as a continuum.
Well, it's in a story. Everyone knows a story is more powerful. I mean,
Right.
if you're trying to in 15 to 30 seconds talk about you and everything you've done in your career and basically synopsisize or give a summation of what's on your resume, that's not going to work. Your resume is your resume. What they want to know is what's your story, right? And this is about what your story is from a career perspective. So here's a real life example of someone, it's a fellow coach that I know, and this is their narrative. So I've led transformations across countries from restructuring Asia operations during the economic crisis to leading digital first initiatives. Today, I help senior leaders step into expanded roles with confidence. My work transforms how leaders position themselves for their next opportunity. That's when she's asked to introduce herself, or when she's asked about what her story is from a career perspective, this is what she says. Making sense for everyone?
Mhm.
Super. Okay. Well, this is all great, Brian. What's your narrative? This is mine. I spent a good chunk of my career coaching individuals to be the best in best swimming, which we all know is an extremely competitive individual sport. And I love the environment I was in when I was helping young talent really shape and achieve their highest level goals. And I built that into a consulting or a coaching business. Now I want to help shape leaders to elevate themselves and their teams, similar to the way I worked with my swimmers to find what was going to make each one of them excel in the pool. So I tied it all together. I took that pivotal moment from the past, made it about what my strengths are today, and then how I want to use that in the future. All right. So maybe you thought you weren't going to do any work this morning, but I need everyone to either open a blank Google Doc or Word doc or pull out a sheet of paper, because now we're going to do some work. So it's your turn. I want you to take, well, I'll give everyone 3 to 5 minutes here. I want you to talk about your past, your foundation, and answer these questions. What's one defining career moment that shaped how you lead today? Or rephrase, what pivotal moment shaped your leadership style? And again, everyone's a leader because that's a mindset. All right, anyone want to volunteer to be vulnerable and share their one defining career moment that shaped how they lead today? Come off mute and share that with the team here. Anyone? Share this with the group.
I'll share, Brian.
Okay, super.
Here, let me turn on my video so you don't feel like you're talking to a box.
That's all right.
So what I wrote was, in my career, I didn't always feel like I was supported or heard by my leadership. And so as a leader, I strive to be an active listener and support my team members professionally and both personally.
Great. Super starter. Thank you for sharing that, Karen.
You're welcome.
Hey, Brian, I'll talk.
Okay.
So years ago, I worked for Motorola, and the new kid on the block was Samsung. Samsung came in, started taking a lot of our guys, and a lot of the 50, 20, 25-year veterans started jumping ship.
Right.
And our management wasn't too keen on, I mean, they were angry, but they weren't doing anything about it. In one of our monthly meetings, they spoke about creating a committee to address the issues to see how we can fix it. I was pretty upset. So I went up to those guys later and I said, but we have the answers. And they said, how so? We do exit interviews. We're very blunt about why we're leaving. So that the HR lady said, well, Mr. Big Mouth, how are you gonna help be part of the solution or just talk, right? So we created a team we addressed the issues, created a rotational team for people that are stagnant in their positions, and we allowed them to rotate. Also, we made some other changes about opportunities that didn't exist. But what I learned from that experience, and then it became a happy ending for a while, right? Because again, those performance reviews we do, it's a two-way street. They tell you what you didn't meet, the standards they set up for you for the year. At the same time, you tell them what you needed from them that maybe they didn't meet your needs. So moving forward, what I realize is sometimes the problems we ignore are the little ones that fester into big problems. So now what I do is when I go work anywhere, I talk to everybody from bottom to top so that we hear everybody's voice. And in essence, we address the smaller problems, which will never fester to bigger problems. But the most important thing is everybody has a voice and everybody gets heard.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. Do you mind if I ask you how long ago that was?
That was like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When I worked there,
Yeah.
it was a while back.
Yeah. So and I only ask and point that out because the pivotal moment or that career moment, it doesn't have to be fresh. It can be from, earlier in your career or something that happened just like you've explained. So it's whatever was that quote unquote defining career moment. All right, we're going to go move to the present. Your strength. What value, trait, or superpower defines how you show up now? Or how do you lead and create impact today? Who wants to be vulnerable this time and share with the group a little bit about their superpower?
Woody's raised his hand.
Woody.
Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Woody.
I'm going to actually briefly share the previous and how that led to what I do today.
Okay.
Many years ago, I worked for a large company, and they hired a lot of very smart developers and engineers, developing hardware, software, and everything in between. And the VPs and the directors like to pull these developers into meetings where they really weren't needed, and the meetings were 2 to 3 hours long. And the VPs and directors would also call all the shots instead of letting the technical people call the shots. It was very demoralizing. I should mention on top of it, the company had gone into a cycle of doing quarterly layoffs as well. And I saw many of these very, very smart engineers coming in, punching the clock, hiding in their cubes, hoping to avoid the meetings and just, do what they love to do every day, which was write code. And how that leads to what I do today. I work to lighten processes. This was at a medical device manufacturer. FDA regulated. You can imagine that they had a lot of pretty heavy processes. At one point, we had to revamp the quality management system, and one of my colleagues created with a team a document that was about this thick for how to write requirements and what that process was all about. I created one for project management, program management, and Agile that was no more than 20 pages. And today, I've had a lot of success in lightening processes, saving companies money, and enlightening that process. Developers love me, even though I'm not an engineer. I don't write code. I don't design hardware, because it allows them to do what they do every day, which is what they love to do, which is solve problems and write code, for instance. And I have a personal mission statement up on my wall. It says, create an environment that engineers want to come to every day.
Super. Thank you for sharing, Woody.
And
You're welcome.
Victoria has raised her hand.
Yes, hi. So, my strength, my superpower is basically that I give a damn about people. Especially people who tend to be ignored and dismissed and basically considered invisible. So I am the person who will just randomly say hello to the custodial people and thank them for their work, because without custodial people, it would be much more unpleasant. I'll talk to the student assistants because so many places don't think student assistants have a whole lot of value because they're just students, but they bring value and they're learning important things. I care about people who fall through the cracks in a lot of this job search stuff. Kathy and Shannon have both heard my rants about not being put into boxes for those with a much more creative human side, because we are not boxes and we need to
Super.
be able to express ourselves. So I had a problem with your first question, but that's part of that. So my superpower is I give a damn about people.
All right. I like that superpower. Thank you for sharing. All right. You know what's next? If I can get my, there we go. So the future, your impact, what legacy or change do you want to create next? Or take a stab at this question. Where do you want your leadership to take you? All right. Who wants to be vulnerable this time? Who wants to talk about their impact or the change they're wanting to create or the legacy they're wanting to leave or where they want their leadership to take them?
So I can go ahead and talk about something.
Sure.
All right. So the change that I'm looking to create next is to help organizations become data-driven. That way, decisions are made with confidence because the right insights are not only clear, but accessible and actionable. My leadership is moving towards roles where I not only analyze data, but also build systems that scale, influence strategy, and mentor others. Long term, I want my legacy to be that I help teams and companies turn complexity into clarity, creating measurable improvements in performance while also developing people who feel empowered to grow and lead themselves.
That's super. Jackson, I sense when you just shared that with the group that you can hear the passion, or at least I can, in your voice. So that's fantastic. All right, we're going to move on to the next part of the work we're doing together. And now I want you to try drafting a quick version of your narrative. So I want 1 to 2 sentences talking about the past and then the present and the future. So you're going to take what you just done and narrow that down. Imagine that we're coming down a funnel and the information is getting tighter and tighter. And if you want a shortcut, you can use the structure at the bottom of the slide. I've, in the past moment, which helped me, present strength, now I'm focused on this. So let's take another 5 minutes and just try to draft a quick narrative of your Power of 3 framework or structured story or narrative. This is the first draft. You don't have to think of it having to be perfect. That's why draft is in all caps here. Let's just take draft 1 here, and there'll certainly be version 2, version 3. Victoria, you raised your hand.
I'll float.
Okay, super.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Ray, were you going to read yours?
Yeah, I'm gonna do mine. So here's my.
Oh, Victoria's going to do hers. Okay.
Yeah, because.
Go ahead. Yeah. Doesn't.
And then
Doesn't-
who else is there? So having been in a number of positions where I've been invisible or dismissed or discounted, I value the importance of the average everyday frontline person. And so what I bring to the table in terms of transformation and change and leadership is recognizing the importance and the value of those people on the front lines actually doing the necessary everyday work that makes organizations run, that makes systems work, that makes a human connection the important thing, especially in a world that is increasingly distant and technology focused. So I bring that human connection to things because that's important.
Great. What did everyone think of that? Would you be excited to learn more and talk to her more? A lot more powerful, that story, versus, I'm looking for a job in XYZ, and here's what I used to do.
Well, some version of that seems to have worked because I recently got hired for a position that is very much peopling, and
That's great. Super. Anybody else willing to share their draft version?
I have something that's less, it's more internalized because I'm at that stage.
Okay.
So I will float that within that context. I began my career as a public relations, communications, information specialist.
Right.
And I was quite successful because the requirements at that point in time were basically written, and it was an exclusive sort of job. We have evolved into a world where everyone is a communicator. And what I am probing now, and what I see is a future where everyone will become more, everyone will communicate more and will have a cacophony of voices, and they are increasingly negative. What I'm looking at is how I can add value in that kind of environment. So this is not a selling. I'm not selling myself in this. I'm just asking at this point myself to probe more deeply into my skill set. So it may not even be appropriate for a discussion.
It could be. I think it's really more not how you sell yourself. It's more about answering the question, what's your story?
Okay, that's a different conversation.
Yeah. So, a story from a more of a career perspective, again, past, present,
Practical.
and future. Yeah.
Yeah, mystery practical.
Yeah. We have
Okay,
time for.
I
Go
have
ahead.
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
I saw a need early in my career for helping people deal with the emotional upheaval of unemployment and to create an integrated job search strategy, which led me to a career change, training people and motivating them to find a job. Now I'm focused on helping people see and declare their value to a company, an organization, or a movement.
Great, Kathy.
As you say, work in progress.
Exactly. But if imagine everyone, if Kathy came up and that's how she introduced herself, I would be excited to talk to Kathy, wouldn't you?
Good.
I'm
All right.
always excited to talk to Kathy.
So, we have a stop at 11:30. I'm not going to necessarily keep people late, but with that, either about this exercise and the Power of Three framework or questions in general, I'm all ears and an open book. As Kathy introduced me, I come from HR land, spent 25 years in that arena and then also do coaching to include career transition coaching. So again, ask me any question, I'll try to give you an answer. I can certainly share an opinion, and I guess I can ask the group a question. And again, it's going to be probably asking someone to be vulnerable. I think if everyone stalked me on LinkedIn, maybe you didn't, maybe you did. You saw I spent 4 years at Indeed. So this question may seem logical, but just work with me here. On average, how many folks who are in transition and looking for their next role, how much time are you spending on job boards? Someone want to share a number?
Somebody says every day, somebody says too much. in the chat.
When the person who said too much, can you tell me what too much looks like? Maybe come up, unmute, or if you feel more comfortable saying it in chat, that's fine too.
Oh, she says 7 to 8 hours a day. Whoa, that is a
Okay.
lot. That
All
is
right,
too
so-
much.
So I will be vulnerable, and I will share a story from when I was in transition back in 2016. Got unexpectedly, my role was eliminated at a company I was with, found myself in the market, and was scouring the job boards. This was before I was at Indeed, including Indeed, LinkedIn, even some of y'all may remember Monster and all those job boards. And basically what I now call and implemented what I call a spray and pray strategy. So you can easily get sucked into responding to job postings, as I was, and you track all where you've applied, and you get your fingers crossed that it gets through whatever screening tool they're utilizing, et cetera, et cetera. Well, one of the job boards I was using was something called ExecuNet, and with that, they had a 1 hour free session with a career coach. So I put it off because I'm from HR. I know how to find a job, right? But I'm not getting much traction, and so I decided I'm going to take advantage of this hour session with this career coach. So I get on the phone with this guy, and he is a retired CEO and does this on the side. He was in Atlanta, Georgia. He had he cursed like a sailor, hit me between the eyes a couple times. So he asked me the same question I asked y'all. He's like, well, how much time you spending scouring job boards and applying for jobs? And I said, well, I don't know. It's probably 5 to 10 hours a week. And he's like, okay, so what are you doing with the other 30 hours? And I go, what do you mean? And he goes, well, finding a job is a full-time job. What are you doing with the other 30 hours? And I'm like, well, I'm doing networking meetings. I'm having coffees. I'm meeting people, getting out there, letting people know that I'm open to new opportunities. He goes, great. How long you spending that? And I'm like, I don't know. It's another 10 to 15 hours a week, maybe, if, prepping for those discussions. And he goes, so when I'm doing the math, that's 25 hours a week. What are you doing with the other time? And I'm like, well, I guess going back to the job boards and applying for jobs. And he goes, well, why are you wasting your time doing that? And I'm like, what are you talking about wasting my time? And I go, well, he goes, that's not the likely place you're going to find the next opportunity. And he goes, you should know this, you're in HR. And I'm like, okay. I go, but I'm filing for unemployment. I have to do some job activity. I do have to apply for a certain number of jobs. He goes, that's fine. Maybe spend 2 to 5 hours a week on the job boards and The rest of the time, you need to work your connections. And I'm like, and network. I'm like, yeah, I know that. He goes, do you? And I'm like, sure. And he goes, how many? And he goes, and at that point, he was like, I think I had like a couple thousand people that I had on LinkedIn. He goes, tell me about your network, the people you're connected to. And I go, well, yeah. He goes, those 2,000 people, do you know all of them? And I'm like, probably 80% of people that I'm connected with, I've either had a conversation or worked with. And he goes, so tell me how many people you've reached out to. I'm like, well, when I knew what was happening, I knew the restructuring was going to happen, I was going to lose my job. I reached out to the 100 folks in Austin and let them know got my feelers out looking for another role. He goes, so you reached out to 100 of 2,000 people. I'm like, yeah, the other 2,000, the other 1,900 people, some of those people I haven't talked to in 15 plus years. And he is an expert. He goes, what the F do you care? And I'm like, excuse me? He goes, here's what I want you to do with the other 15 to 20 hours of your time every week. He goes, I want a personalized LinkedIn message to everyone in your network. He goes, the first paragraph, he goes, don't mistake, you can have the second and third paragraph be sort of boilerplate, but that first paragraph, that's personalized. And I want you to reach out to people who know what you're about and know why you work and what kind of work you do, and reach out to all those people. It's going to take you a few weeks. And he goes, here's what's going to happen. You're going to hear back from 10 to 15% of those people. And I'm like, no, I'm not. He goes, yeah, you will. And he goes, more likely than not, one of those 10 or 15 people are going to give you a connection that's going to land you a job. So I tell you that story because I ended up at Indeed based on a connection I had from 1998. When I was working, most folks don't even remember this company. I was working at GTE before it became Verizon, and we worked together in Irving, Texas. She gave me an introduction that led to my job at Indeed. So it may seem counterintuitive to you that someone from Indeed is telling you to spend less time on the job boards, but spend less time on the job boards. Spend more time talking to people that know you and know what you're capable of doing.
Wow. That's a great story.
That's my story. So, all right. I'll give everybody back I have one last question for you. I'll give you also my contact information, but, and maybe give you back a few minutes of the day. So who can tell me what this is pictured in the background? What's that? What is that called in the clouds there?
That's the circum something arc, sundogs.
There you go. Sundog is an eye in the sky. So my coaching business has nothing to do with a dog. It has everything to do with this, which is an eye in the sky. And I believe everyone needs an eye in the sky. So hence Sundog Coaching. So I will leave you with that. And I appreciate y'all's time. It was a pleasure. And thanks for doing the work this morning. You might have thought you weren't going to have to do any work, but you did a good job. And those who were shared and were vulnerable, I appreciate that.
Brian,
The best presentations are the ones that are interactive. So we very much appreciate that.
You're very welcome. I enjoyed it, y'all. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Brian, before you head out, may I get your slides to be able to incorporate into our newsletter next week? If not, that's fine. I just
absolutely. Just let me know where do I need to send them exactly?
I'll email you. I just wanted to ask.
No, it's fine. Absolutely.
I just want to put you on the spot in front of everybody.
That's fine. Okay. And the person that worked at GT that put that in chat, yeah, I was there from 1998 to 2003. And then the merger happened with Bell Atlantic to form what we all know today as Verizon. And this small town boy from Middle Tennessee wasn't about to go to Manhattan, New York. So that's how I left Verizon and ended up at USAA back then. So,
Wow.
So Stella, I took the package too, the voluntary separation package. So
This is great. So we had another person who said his father worked for them as well.
yeah.
So, wow. Great. So nice to have you here. This was fabulous information. I love the fact that so many people got involved. We all learned something great. We've got something to take with us to to just clarify our thoughts that, you know,
Yeah.
when you're unemployed, you know, your brain is just mush. So this was excellent. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Everyone have a great weekend. Take care.
You as well.
All right. Bye now.